All right. Hi, how are you?
Doing well. How are you doing?
All right, thanks. I'm David Lopez from Instinct Magazine. I've had the pleasure of speaking with you several occasions, and it's so nice to see you again. And it's so exciting to talk about all of this today.
Yeah, thank you. It's good to see you
Thank you for
again.
having us, David.
Yes, yes, yes. So we have a lot to cover in a very short amount of time, but I just wanted to share that my partner and I have seen your show every year, and it has become our own holiday tradition. I think the same goes for everyone else who comes to see you year after year. Why do you think that your holiday show has become this like new tradition for the LGBTQ plus community or drag fans?
Well, I think that it's a combination of the fact that we like that Jinx and I have really formed a relationship to the show that we love, and we have a lot of fun together, and we're not afraid to be goofy and silly, and our audiences embrace that. So the more they embrace it, the more we go for it. And I think sort of the irreverence and the dick jokes give people a little bit more permission to feel a little more sentimental. And so, what's
Mhm.
underneath the show is really a sense of, love for our community and the desire to create a nice queer space around the holidays that feels loving and accepting. And so, I think it's that one-two punch of like ridiculous and bawdy and sweet and earnest.
Yeah. You know, I think audiences really crave authenticity right now. And I think it's a weird sentence to say, but we get more and more authentic to ourselves every year. But that's because of the loyalty of our audiences and our audiences continuing to grow and show that love back to us. Because our audience supports us so well, we're able to make the show bigger and better every year. It's like as long as people keep coming, we'll keep doing this because it we get as much from it as our audiences seem to.
That is so true. It's so unique and magical. It's very niche, but it's also very broad and digestible. And I think that that's really, something so special.
I'm a
We
digestible broad.
yes, 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 yes. Yeah. So we often have to create our own traditions with chosen family and friends, as queer people outside of the holidays, as people of queer experience. What are some of your own traditions?
My grandmother, and this is a talking point for Dayla and I a lot because whereas Dayla grew up with a very picturesque looking Christmas traditions, she talks a lot about like how stuffy and confining her family environment felt to her,
Mm.
whereas my family was very raw, but Christmas was one of my favorite times of year. And ever since my grandma passed, the tradition of her Christmas Eve party, hasn't really been able to live on. And in the recent years, we can't do it on Christmas Eve because I'm working, obviously, but I've been able to host big family dinners in the style of my grandmother. And it's fun being, 35 and everyone agrees that I'm the new matriarch of the family. It's very Encanto.
Yeah, I actually was just thinking about how, we've sort of created this show for ourselves and other folks, and it's become something that's really special to us. But I've been kind of reflecting on, my relationship with Jinx over many years, my own life over many years, and the way that being a queer person growing up in the world gives you it can be a hard thing, but it gives you freedom to create so many of your own traditions kind of in your day-to-day life throughout the year. I mean, you really there has not been a forged path for a lot of us that we can sort of look to. And so I think it's a really special and unique part of the queer experience uh to create your own traditions sort of throughout your life and throughout, the people you surround yourself with, the places you go, the things you do are all really can be self-invented, where it's the blessed reverse of the coin of feeling like a misfit, and it's something that I feel pretty grateful for year round.
And for those who may not know, where did the idea for creating a holiday show even come from?
Well,
uh
Dayla had been producing holiday shows in Seattle, which is where we met and became friends. Dayla had created holiday safe spaces for years before we started creating this together. I would sometimes act in those shows. I'd play parts in the shows that she created back then. It was a big formative part of our relationship. Then I went off and did my own stuff for a while. And then, 6 years ago, Dayla approached me with the idea of kind of bringing that idea back, of creating a safe space for the queer community at the holidays by way of a light-hearted drag entertainment spectacle. And we brought it back, and it was a very small tour back then, but immediately it felt like, oh my gosh, we can bring that magic back again and do it all over the place, not just in Seattle, but take it from city to city. And what it's grown to, it just it feels very, very special because I got to see, the humble beginnings. And it makes me so proud of what my friend has done as a producer in the last decade, we're in a really cool position right now. And a lot of it is due to Dayla's tireless, and I say tireless because she's a perfectionist, tireless efforts throughout the years to provide this for us and for all of the artists and designers and theater creators that we work with every year.
Jinx is making me blush. That's very generous. When Jinx joined the cast of that early show, it really was just so clear that the way that audiences responded to her was something really special. And when she went on to do her own Christmas show with Major Scales, they did a show called Unwrapped for quite a while. And so we both sort of had our holiday things, but we had come together, just the two of us on stage, quite a bit when we were hosting each other's seasons of Drag Race. And so the two of us would host these big community events together. And it was just us on stage gabbing and drinking martinis and joking together that audiences just seemed to be really drawn to. And so that was sort of the original idea for the Christmas show. And then instead, oopsie daisy, we just wrote a fully scripted show.
Yeah. But it was a really affirming moment for our friendship because, like we said, we had been working together before then. But the fact that audiences really liked our chemistry together, two drag queens sharing a stage, that's something you have to choose to do and then work at. And through the years, I think we have just really put in the effort on our friendship as well as our craft. And that's a big part of what makes the show, I think, ring so clear with our audiences.
Yeah, it's not easy to be friends as well, right?
Not when you're two goddesses on Earth trying to share a stage.
So I know since that, initial iteration of these holiday shows, this is the biggest tour, the biggest iteration you've done. How is this Jinx and Dayla holiday show going to be different from previous years?
Well, every single year we sort of start messaging each other early in the year being like, oh my God, how the hell are we going to come up with new Christmas content once again? It can feel a little daunting to have to wring another few jokes out of a candy cane. But there's I think every single year we feel more emboldened by how much our audience loves when we get really authentically strange. And so every year the show gets like a little more daring and a little weirder. So we're always dealing with like current like political atmosphere, social atmosphere, but and current pop culture. But we're also just leaning heavily into like the things we love. So last year had a sci-fi bent. This year we're working with a very sort of a Christmas flavored Faustian Twilight Zone episode. So it's we just have so much fun feeling that the audience really has given us permission to run with it. And so I think that this year people are going to be as delighted and dumbfounded as, quite frankly, we are at how ridiculous we can make this holiday.
And you touched on this a little bit, but this is one question that I really wanted to ask you today. And the world is just at such a really difficult place right now with drag and identity under a social and political microscope. How do you see the Jinkx and Dela holiday show contributing to the shattering of misinformation and hate?
Well, I think one of the best ways we can communicate is through comedy. And Dela and I, as individuals and in the way that we collaborate together, it's very clear that we chose comedy as our mode of communication, And I think why the audiences grow every year is that we work hard on creating a show that if you are a fan of Drag Race, if you're a fan of drag, if you're a queer person in the know, of course you're going to love it. If you're not any of those things, you'll still love it because we welcome everyone in. You got to be kind, you got to be respectful, you can't be a bigot, but we have space for everyone. And someone said, "Oh, wasn't it you? Digestible and broad." We like to make our content entertaining, accessible to everyone, but truthful to our experience and our voice. And someone told me, and I think it's just like a wonderful lesson to live by as someone who loves to make jokes, but he said, "I don't always understand what you're talking about, but seeing you find it so funny, I find that funny," And that's something that kind of inspires me in our work these days, is we're really leaning into what delights us.
And I think it's also there's in terms of how we're kind of responding to the world, I think every year we're like, wow, this year's so dark. How are we gonna and I think we have to stop saying that because clearly we're manifesting each year as it comes. But it is a thing where we are really not afraid to say what we want to say and to respond to the inequities in our society. But it's also, because it's about making people aware. It's about making people understand that it is important to be paying attention. It's important to be involved. But at the same time, I think we really understand the value of balancing that with enough escapism that we can come together as a community for the holidays and kind of gather the strength and rally and know that there are a lot of us who are on the same page so that we can fight that battle coming into the new year. And I think that's, it's that kind of refueling through entertainment and community while also understanding where it is we need to go next.
Absolutely. And we have like no minutes left, but I just want to get in one more question, if that's okay.
Sorry, we talk a lot.
I know at the core of this, show and, the reasoning for why you created this show is just finding place for the queer community during the holidays. Do either of you have any advice for those from the LGBTQ plus community who struggle even more so during the holiday season?
You know, I guess my advice is to, and this sounds like just like repeating myself from the whole conversation we've had, but in any way that you can, it's a great time to lean into your community, and that's easier said than done in some places. And, different places, you might only have like one gay bar, but if you have one place where you feel safe, or if you have a friend's house you can go to, it just don't be afraid to reach out, because I'm sure your friends will be happy you did, rather than hearing afterward you spent the holidays alone.
And, for those folks who, I mean, fortunately, a lot of us are blessed enough to have access to that. But there are some folks who, at their particular phase in life or whatever, really, might struggle to even find that one touchstone. But I would say, remember that it's out there. Just because you don't have it within your sights right now, we're here to tell you that when you are ready and able, this community is here to embrace you and love you and welcome you.
That's why representation in media is so important, because when I was young, just seeing that other people like me existed got me. I mean, I came out at 14, so it was it was a short time, but it got me through the time where I wasn't able to be myself, So I'm happy that we, as entertainers, get to be part of the movement of making sure there's more representation for people to see out there.
And my last sentence, I'll say that multiple sentences, is remember that the things that make you feel like you don't belong are actually the things that make you very special, and are the things that are going to give you the permission in life to go exactly where you want to go. Because you are fiercely individual, and there is no roadmap that you have to follow.
There's not even a roadmap you have to follow.
All right.
All right. Is there anything else you'd like to share today after all of that heavy, deep stuff I hit you with?
JinxTheGala.com.
And I can't wait for people to come and see how all of this deep messaging is cloaked in sparkles and camp and puppets and spectacle and dick jokes.
Sexy Krampus.
And we're gonna take people on a hilarious journey, and they're gonna come away with this sense of warmth. But don't worry, we're gonna make you laugh for a solid 2 hours.
Great. I'll bring my nanog.
Perfect.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a great day. I appreciate it.
It was great talking to you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a great day. Bye.